The Sahara is an endless desert where scorching sand glitters under the blazing sun, and the horizon shimmers in a heat haze. This is a place where life seems impossible. Each new day is a trial, every step a struggle against harsh nature. Yet it is here, among the dunes of Mali, Algeria, and Libya, that the Tuareg live, a nomadic people whose culture blossoms like an oasis on the edge of survival. Ethnographers estimate their population at around 1 million, and each tribe, from the in Algeria to the in, preserves a unique way of life forged over centuries in the vast desert. To outsiders, the Tuareg are a mystery, men whose faces are concealed by blue veils called, and women whose uncovered faces embody their philosophy of freedom and dignity. Unlike many societies where relationships are governed by strict rules, among the Tuareg personal choice reigns supreme. This is especially evident in the role of women, who decide whom to invite into their tent, when to marry, and under what conditions to end that marriage. Imagine a caravan moving slowly across the dunes. Camels laden with cloth and provisions proceed to the rhythmic jingle of bells. Men wrapped in blue traditional veils that hide their faces keep watch on the horizon, their eyes the only visible feature. Alongside them, women in brightly colored garments, faces open to sun and wind. This scene is not merely an image of nomadic life, but a symbol of the Tuareg worldview, where men's reserved exterior contrasts with women's openness. The Tuareg speak a Berber language. Their culture is steeped in Islam, yet woven with pre-Islamic beliefs like reverence for nature spirits. Social structure revolves around clans and tribes, each community led by a chief, and important decisions are often made collectively with input from elders and women. The tent, is far more than a dwelling. It is the center of life, belonging to the woman who manages the household and receives guests. It is where decisions are made, poems are recited, and the hearth's warmth is preserved even when the men set off on long journeys. Unlike many traditional societies where patriarchy restricts women's roles, among the Tuareg the woman holds a central place. Men, whose faces are hidden by, defend the tribe from external threats, whether a sandstorm or strangers, while the woman ensures internal stability by overseeing the tent and community relationships. This contrast, man with a veiled face and woman with an open one, is not mere custom but reflects their roles. The man belongs to the desert, the woman to the tent. Together they create the balance that makes survival possible in a place where one mistake can be fatal. Tuareg culture is not only about nomadism and tents, it is also art permeating their lives. Women play a one-stringed violin whose sound resembles the whispering wind. Men and women compose poems using the ancient script still found in rock carvings and manuscripts. These poems are not simple entertainment, but a means to convey history, emotion, and wisdom. Poetry among the Tuareg is a dialogue of souls, a bridge between people where every word is measured and heartfelt. Evening falls in the desert. The fire in the tent crackles, casting shadows on the woven walls. Young sits by the hearth, her fingers gliding over the strings. Opposite her is a guest, a youth from a neighboring tribe, his face hidden by yet his eyes betray his excitement. Recites a poem she composed earlier that day, about stars guiding caravans and a heart seeking its path. The young man responds with his own verses, and in this exchange a bond forms, not a promise, but a moment of sincerity valued above all. Tuareg life is more than mere survival. It is a philosophy. In a world where sand erases footprints and water is worth more than gold, they have learned to cherish freedom and dignity. Their culture, tempered over centuries, teaches that true strength lies not in control but in trust. Women, empowered with the right of personal choice, become guardians of this philosophy, and the tent stands as its tangible symbol. One of the most striking Tuareg traditions, especially among the in Algeria, is the institution of a small tent belonging to an unmarried girl. As anthropologist Susan, who studied the Tuareg for decades, notes, the is not merely a dwelling but a symbol of a woman's social and economic independence. This tent, often adorned with cloths and carpets, becomes her private domain where she decides whom to invite and how to shape relationships. Night descends on the plateau, stars shining so brightly they seem within reach. Apart from the main camp stands Fatima's. She lights an oil lamp, and its gentle glow illuminates the patterns on the walls. Tonight she awaits, a young nomad whose desert poems she heard at the last festival. He arrives quietly by camel to avoid drawing attention. Inside the tent, they kindle a small fire. Fatima plays a melody she composed on the responds with his poems, and their night fills with dialogue, music, words, and laughter. The is more than a meeting place. It is a tradition underscoring a woman's right to choose. She may invite the young man she prefers for conversation, music, or poetry. These visits usually occur at night to avoid gossip, yet they are not secret. Her family is aware and honors her decision. Points out that these encounters allow the girl to assess potential suitors, intellect, talent, and character. Intimacy may occur but is neither obligatory nor a guarantee of marriage. Unlike cultures with rigid courtship rules, the offers a space for experimentation and learning. It is not frivolity but thoughtful engagement. A Tuareg girl is not bound to marry the first visitor. She may welcome several suitors, exchange poems, and discuss life before making a choice. This tradition is a rare example of gender equality in a traditional society, where a woman not only has a voice but the right to use it. The varies among Tuareg groups. For instance, among the Inn, the practice is less formal and meetings occur in the main family, but the essence remains unchanged. The woman decides who enters her space. This right is upheld by a culture where poetry and music are not mere art, but means of communication. Women, often literate in, record their poems and pass them down through generations. These writings are not only expressions of feeling, but part of the tribe's oral history. Dawn draws near, farewells Fatima, his footsteps silent on the sand. She watches him go, holding the sheet with his verses. Tonight did not promise marriage, but granted her understanding. Is someone whose words resonate in her heart. Tomorrow she may host another guest or spend the evening alone composing new lines. The remains her space, her choice, her freedom. In Tuareg culture, marriage is not the inevitable outcome of a relationship, but a conscious decision approached with the same freedom as in the tradition. Among the in Algeria and the Inn, women retain control over their fate even after marriage. Anthropologist Susan observes that among the Tuareg, marriage is not viewed as a constraint. A woman chooses her partner freely, and importantly, may end the union if it no longer suits her. This autonomy makes Tuareg culture unique among many traditional societies where women often lack such choice. Picture a morning in a camp. A tent belonging to a young woman who has just married stands at the center of the settlement. Inside, she spreads woven carpets preparing for the new day. Her husband has departed with the caravan, entrusting her with the household. Knows this tent is her domain. If their marriage fails, she need only place belongings at the entrance. A simple yet dignified ritual of divorce. No one in the tribe will condemn her. On the contrary, they will respect her decision. Among the Tuareg, marriage rests on mutual consent, not coercion. The woman may continue entertaining several men, visiting there, or receiving their verses and songs before deciding on marriage. Emphasizes that intimacy in the does not obligate matrimony. It is a time for getting acquainted, exchanging thoughts, and assessing character. Should the woman choose marriage, she does so knowingly, confident that her freedom remains intact. The tent, or continues to symbolize her status as head of the household. Even within marriage, she retains a voice in family matters, from child rearing to resource allocation. The right to divorce is one of the most remarkable aspects of Tuareg culture. Unlike many patriarchal societies, including some Muslim communities where divorce is predominantly initiated by men, among the Tuareg, a woman may unilaterally end the marriage. The process is straightforward. She gathers her husband's belongings and places them outside the tent. He must accept this decision without dispute. No humiliating trials, no property division before the elders. This ritual, marked by quiet dignity, reflects the profound wisdom of Tuareg ethos. Marriage must be voluntary and freedom inviolable. Once felt her marriage to had grown burdensome. He was a good man, but their life goals diverged. One evening, as stars gleamed above the desert, she carefully arranged his clothes and weapons by the tent's entrance. At dawn, found his possessions and departed without comment. The tribe did not whisper behind his back or point fingers. Remained in her tent, playing and composing poems. Her decision was her right, and none dared question it. This autonomy in marriage and divorce is rooted in the Tuareg philosophy. that places respect for the individual above societal expectations. As in the tradition, the tent remains the woman's realm. Even in marriage, she runs the household, receives guests, and directs daily life. This principle underscores that a woman is not her husband's property but his equal partner whose will carries weight. Such an approach renders Tuareg culture a rare example of gender equality among nomadic peoples. Poetry among the Tuareg is not merely art, but a means of communication, expression of feelings, and preservation of history. Women, often literate in the ancient alphabet, play a pivotal role in this tradition. They record verses, passing them down through generations or recite them in the tent, forging a soul-to-soul dialogue. As Susan notes, poetry among the Tuareg is an intimate language allowing the expression of love, longing, or farewell with economy of words. In the where meetings occur, poems become bridges between hearts. In Fatima's tent, the same young man sits opposite her, holding a freshly penned sheet of lines. Fatima reads her poem about the wind carrying sand and a heart seeking rest, replies, likening her eyes to nightly stars. Their words swirl like threads in a carpet, weaving a bond that demands no promise. This exchange is more than courtship. It is a testament of trust when two souls open to each other through verse. For the Tuareg, poetry is both personal and communal heritage. Women, enjoying higher literacy rates than other nomadic peoples, often inscribe their poems on stones or leather. These texts narrate not only love but the tribe's life. Long treks, meetings at wells, stars guiding caravans. Men also partake, but women are regarded as custodians of oral and written culture. Their verses chronicle emotions and events. In the poetry plays a special role. It enables young people to learn about one another without the weight of social constraints. Unlike cultures with rigid courtship rules, here poems grant freedom of expression. A woman may dedicate a verse to signal her interest or gently close a meeting with lines of farewell. This process is not mere romance, but a way to build relationships on sincerity. As observes, Tuareg poetry is a dialogue of souls, where every word carries weight and meaning. Today, Tuareg culture, which thrived for centuries in the Sahara's harsh conditions, faces significant challenges. Globalization, pressure to settle, and influence of more conservative interpretations of Islam are changing traditional ways. Ethnographers like Susan estimate approximately 1,200,000 Tuareg live in Mali, Algeria, Libya, and yet their nomadic lifestyle is shrinking under state programs promoting. In the camp, night is calm, but Fatima cannot sleep. She sits in her tent, fingering the strings while her thoughts wander. In nearby, she saw young Tuareg exchanging poems not in tents, but beneath the hum of radios. Some girls no longer wear traditional bright attire, and now cover their faces with scarves, once unthinkable. Fatima knows her symbol of freedom is becoming rare. Youth drift into cities where traditions dissolve in new rules. One major challenge for the Tuareg is enforced. Governments in Mali and other countries aim to integrate nomadic tribes into urban economies by offering schools, hospitals, and permanent housing. However, points out, such changes often dismantle Tuareg social structures, where the tent and nomadic camps form the core of identity. Women, whose autonomy depended on owning a tent, lose that space in towns. The tradition has nearly vanished in urban communities, where young people meet in public venues under new social norms. The influx of conservative Islamic interpretations from neighboring regions is also altering women's roles. Whereas once a Tuareg woman's unveiled face symbolized freedom, some communities under pressure now require hijab. These shifts threaten the unique gender dynamics that allowed women to choose partners and control marriages. The younger generation, raised in urban schools and on television, sometimes moves away from tradition, favoring modern courtship where poetry and give way to social networks.